Oh my god, I seriously think that I recorded this vlog 5 times now because I keep going too long. So anyway, I'm going to have to go a little bit quicker. I cut some stuff out. Talk about my endorsement for President of the United States for 2008. And this endorsement is coming later than it usually does because it took me a long time to make up my mind. Past blogs I talked about some of the Republicans, not even bothering. They all suck, they're all stupid. They endorse things like the don't ask, don't tell policy, which is just a dumb policy, keeping gays out of the military. So anyway, I don't like any of them. They're all stupid, they all suck. Any Democrat would be better. As for the Democrats, Dennis Kucinich, probably the candidate that I like the most in terms of his actual policies, and he's just a kooky little guy that's really fun to watch, but I don't think he would actually get anything done because he is so kooky and nobody would want to do anything with him. So, don't really like the guy that I probably am more in line with policy with, so I'm not supporting him. Bill Richardson, the Latino governor from New Mexico, both he and Kucinich have already dropped out of the race. Why am I mentioning Richardson? Because I think that he has the most chance of being vice presidential nominee. So he'll probably come back because the Democrats really want to, I think, galvanize the Latino vote behind them because the Latino vote hasn't really, as a group, made up their mind. So I think he's about to come back. So it comes down to the last three, the final three, the big three that we have seen recently. And overall, I think all three of them would be really, really great. But I have to come down and say who I like. So let me talk about all three and say what I think. First, we have John Edwards, who, to be quite honest, in the 2004 debate, I thought he was really, really slimy, or the 2004 contest. I always had this feeling that he was really slimy. Yeah, never really liked him that much. But to be quite honest, this year I've been much more impressed with him. One is because I think he's saying what really needs to be said. He's really talking about the need to fight entrenched corporate interest in Washington and really tackle poverty, and none of the other candidates, major candidates, are really saying this that much. He's really talking about the need for some dramatic change that needs to happen, and I'm really excited that a major party candidate is talking about it this year. But to be quite frank, he hasn't won a single state yet. I don't think he's going to win a state. He has no chance of becoming the nominee. So that's not really looking too good for him. And plus, I think that his message is a little too confrontational with the entrenched interest in Washington and corporations. Why is that a problem? Well, it's good for galvanizing support, but it's also really bad for galvanizing opposition. So I think that it would be a very, very polar atmosphere in Washington if he was elected president, and I don't think he has enough skill then to actually accomplish the agenda that he talks about and that he cares about so much. So I can't endorse John Edwards for president next year. Next, Barack Obama, and all I can say is wow, 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 wow. This man can give a great speech, and he feels very presidential to me. He actually reminds me a lot when he speaks of Bill Clinton. And I think this is important because the job of the president isn't just to be the head of the government, to sign laws, push agendas through, but it's also to be the head of the state that represents who the United States basically is. And that's important because the president can really give the people in the country a sense of pride, of joy, of hope, and I think that's really, really important. I think we need a president who can really make us dream, because I think we have a lot of big problems our country is facing, and they're going to require dramatic change, a lot of sacrifice on behalf of the people, and we need somebody who can really make the population wish and dream for a better future and willing to fight for drastic change to move things forward. So we'll need somebody who can help us dream like Kennedy helped us dream to send a man to space. We're going to need that kind of dream to get us off of oil dependence and other policies like global warming. Between he and Hillary, I actually agree with his voting record more than Hillary's voting record. It's been more liberal. He's also been against the war from the beginning, which is huge. Shows a good good sense of judgment and somebody who can get stuff right the first time, unlike Hillary, who got the war wrong. However, I don't think he's the best candidate for president at this time, and I have a few reasons for that. One is that he does have this image of somebody who wants to get everybody to the table to discuss some of the changes he wants to make, but I think that's also a problem because for the types of changes that are going to be made, you need to confront the big interest there in a very confrontational way, like Edwards is talking about, because you're going to have to take away their power, you're going to have to take away some of their money, and they're not going to want to do it sitting at the table. And I don't think Barack Obama has the actual will to fight to do that. I think that he wants to be president, but I think that it's more important to him than actually too much change. And so I think some of the policies he's been proposing are examples of that. Of the major three candidates for the Democratic Party, he has the weakest healthcare plan for reforming the healthcare system. I would call his actually a plan for reforming the healthcare system, whereas John Edwards and Hillary's plan and Hillary Clinton's plan are revolutionary for dramatically changing it and really providing universal healthcare. His is almost universal healthcare, but not quite there. And so for those reasons, I would actually prefer to have him in the Senate. He has a good instinct on the issues, and I would prefer to keep him, for him to stay in the Senate, to vote for the next Democratic president on their issues. That leads me to the final candidate to talk about, who I actually am endorsing for the race, and that is Hillary Clinton this year. And a lot of my more liberal friends might be gasping right now. I've even been gasping a little bit, trying to come to terms with it, because for such a long time, I really was not a big fan of her. She's not a very eloquent speaker. If you compare her speech to Obama's speech at the 2004 Democratic Convention, hers was boring and uninspiring. His was get off your feet and make you feel good. And also, I tended to like her more before her Senate career, and her Senate voting record has been fairly conservative, very safe, very moderate, and quite frankly pro-war. So it's kind of scared me a lot about what she would do as president. She seemed more conservative than Barack, and that has worried me a bit. However, I think that she has the capability of enacting the most far-reaching and most liberal agenda of all three of the candidates, and here's why. I think she has the most experience of all of the candidates. She has dealt with the vast right-wing conspiracy for a number of years, and she's still here, she's still kicking, and I think that she knows how to deal with the Republican establishment in Washington that will keep representing some of these interests, and I think she'll be able to do it. I think she'll be able to make some of the drastic change by standing up to these interests. But it's also reliant on standing up to them and working with them, which I think she can do. I think she can balance that line really well. Her Senate career has shown a record of working with Republicans and other Democrats to actually get stuff accomplished. She has a good record of proposing legislation and actually having it passed. And so I think that she knows how to do it more than any other candidate. Also, in terms of her desire, I think she has more desire than Barack Obama to get stuff accomplished. I think that part of it will be her desire to set herself apart from her husband's administration, where, for example, she led the health care initiative in 1994 and it failed dramatically. I think that she will want to get that accomplished early on in her presidential term, because she will want to differentiate her legacy from her husband's. And so I really am excited about her. I think that she could do a great job as president, and for the reasons I talked about, I am endorsing her for president of the United States. Okay. If you have any feedback, if you want to bitch at me for what I just said, Agree with me? Leave a comment. Until next time, bye-bye.